Data guard recommendations. There are few recommendations that you must follow before configuring a data guard. Remember, both the production and the DR system must be same in hardware terms. At hardware level, exactly the same processor, same CPU, same memory, everything should be used same. Of course, these are only recommendations. You can of course deviate from all these recommendations, but if you want to have the right performance, you must follow these recommendations. These are from Oracle, and even if you read through Oracle documentation, they will say that your DR must be exactly same as your prod system. Now, once again, even at the OS level, even at the file system level, everything must be exactly same as your production system or the primary system. Both prod and DR must have same file system. Of course, we just discussed it. And when you make any changes in prod OS level, make same in DR. Now, what is this? Let's take there is some OS level patching that happens onto the production server. The same patching needs to be applied onto the DR server. If there are any other changes from the operating system team on the production server, the same changes needs to be executed onto the DR system. When you add a new file system onto the production server, the same file system needs to be added onto the DR system. And if you extend any file system onto the production, you have to extend the same file system onto the DR system. Now, once again, you don't do all these things. If there are any OS level changes, those will be executed by the OS team or maybe the storage team when it is related to file system. As a DBA, you have to be careful that, okay, if there are some changes that have been done on production, it is your job to send an email to the OS team or the storage team stating that, boss, do one thing, whatever you have executed on the production server, you execute same changes onto the DR server. Let it be an addition of file system, let it be an addition of any OS parameters, let it be extension of existing file system or anything. Anything that has been done on production from the production team or the operating system team or the storage team, you have to tell them that, boss, execute same onto the DR server. And if you have multiple DR servers configured, you have to execute the same changes onto the multiple DRs. Now this leads to one question. How many DRs can I configure in an 11G or any database version? As of now, with Oracle 11G, you can configure 30 DR sites. Now if you remove one, because one site would be the local, the same production server, you can basically configure 29 DR servers. Now with 29 DR sites, definitely nobody will go with such high number of configurations because it costs a lot to prepare a standby server and having the same hardware as your production server, because production servers run on a very high of hardware. When it comes to OS level, when it comes to the hardware structure, the cost is pretty high, and affording one more for the DR site, okay, client might go for one DR, but going more than one DR is not possible because it's not cost effective, and also you won't have so many natural disasters that both your production and your first DR will go down at the same time. That's why in 11G you can configure 29 DRs, but let's take your client is having 2 or 3 DRs, then all the changes that have been executed on production server, it has to be executed onto all your DRs. Let it be your only single DR or if you have multiple DRs. So these are the data guard recommendations you need to follow, and even while we are configuring our data guards, we'll also try to follow these recommendations. On the production, you want to create a new table space. Create table space test, and you have a data file. The new data file location that you want to give, maybe it resides under U010 or sorry U10. This mount point does not exist, and all the mount points before U10 are completely full. You cannot use these mount points. You send a request to your operating system team or the storage team stating that, boss, can you please create this mount point onto the production server? But your OS team or storage team is not aware that you have a DR site as well. Okay, they created this U10 mount point on your production server, and you executed this command, create tablespace test, and this tablespace was created successfully. Let us assume this command resides under log number 50. This is the log number. So previously you have 49, 48, all those logs. 48 log gone to your DR server, it is applied. 49 log went to your DR server, it is applied. Perfect, no errors. But when your 50th log, which contains this create tablespace statement, this reaches onto your DR server, and when your log apply service is trying to apply the log, it will fail over here. Why it will fail? Because the same command will be executed, create table space, and then the data file location is U10/U10. But this U10, it's not at all present on the local DR server. Now if it is not available, then how come your database be able to create the test table space? It won't be able to create the test table space, and that's why you will encounter an error over here. And if the log is not applied, all the logs that are coming after the 50th log, even they will not be applied, because you have to apply logs in sequence. If one log is corrupted or there is an issue with one log, your DR will break and there will be a gap in DR. That is why whatever changes that you do or perform on the production server, the same changes you need to perform on the DR server. Let it be from operating system team, let it be from storage team, or any team that performs anything or any changes onto the production server, they need to re-execute those changes onto the DR server.